With Destiny 2's newest, biggest DLC coming, the Edge of Fate, it is definitely safe to say that now is your time to start preparing for the Edge of Fate DLC. With it coming in just around 2 months here on July 15th, now it is definitely time to jump back into Destiny and definitely get yourself up to speed. So if you've taken a long break from Destiny but you're keen for the Edge of Fate, this is the perfect video for you, because I'm going to be giving you 10 weapons that you should definitely have in your inventory going into the Edge of Fate. These 10 weapons aren't for, say, the best meta weapons. However, I've constructed a list of just overall great weapons that have performed very well over the past year or so in Destiny 2 that, I've always used, a lot of players are using, and they're just very solid guns that you want in your loadout. Obviously, depending on what, something like the seasonal artifact mods are, or whatever the meta shift and changes is, depends on what are the best guns in that current season. So these 10 weapons are just very solid weapons that you can use no matter what the current meta is. So without further ado, let's get straight into this list, and in no particular order. Straight away, the best recommendation that I can have for you is to get every single rocket sidearm. But if you are only to get one rocket sidearm, as simply to put it, rocket sidearms are just the best weapon type in the game right now, I would definitely be going for the Aberant Action, as this is my favorite and arguably the best rocket sidearm to get. Now the gold roll that you want to go for on the Aberant Action is Heal Clip and Incandescent, just overall making it an extremely solid weapon to have in your loadout. Every time you get a kill and you reload, it's going to heal you, it's going to heal your allies around you. It's a very S tier perk to be using in any activity. And obviously, it's a solo weapon, so you pair this with Incandescent for some of that extra damage. Now, this weapon can be achieved from the Echoes episode, which is still available right now in the Helm, or the Last City, whatever it is. Go ahead and do some of the activities and get one of these as soon as possible. Jumping over here into weapon number 2, I have chosen the Queenbreaker. Now, the Queenbreaker is definitely by far one of the best linear fusion rifles to be using in the game right now. Now, I will say with some of the seasonal artifacts and the whole Arc season, the Queenbreaker is definitely feeling a little bit better than what it usually would be. However, the Queenbreaker is just an overall extremely solid linear fusion rifle to be taking into the Edge of Fate. With it having the new catalyst giving rewind rounds, it makes this linear fusion rifle extremely useful, and it hits very, very hard. So if you haven't got the Queenbreaker, definitely go ahead and get it through the vendor, and then also try and farm out the catalyst, because without the catalyst, it's not worth using. Moving on to one of our next weapons that I did not think I would put on this list. However, just this season in this episode, the Loadar has seriously impressed me, and considering it's a free exotic that everyone has just by playing this episode and accepting it from the battle pass, this exotic is extremely useful. Once you shoot a couple enemies, it charges up the little bar. Once you do the alternate fire mode, it does extra damage and jolts enemies, and because it's primary ammo, it obviously has infinite ammo, and it is extremely useful to use in any Arc sort of build. Moving on to weapon number 4, I have chosen the Lost Signal. Now this is by far one of the best area denial grenade launchers in the game. We've all been using this now for a couple episodes, many months. This weapon has been extremely useful in both DPS phases and also just general ad clear. This weapon is amazing. This weapon comes from the last episode, Echoes, so if you don't have it, make sure you jump back in there, get it, craft it, do whatever you need to do with it. It is extremely useful. If you're using it for boss DPS, you want to run auto-loading holster and Vorpal, and then obviously if you're using it for ad clear, there's plenty of other perks you can use, something like Lead from Gold, paired with Demolitionist, One for All. There's plenty of perks on this gun. It is extremely useful to use. However, I would personally just mainly use it for boss DPS. Jumping over here into weapon number 5, I have recommended the Commemoration. Now the Commemoration is by far my favorite machine gun, so I am a little bit biased towards it. However, this is, in my opinion, the best machine gun to be using in any activity, whether it's, a raid, contest raid, just a normal dungeon, a strike. It's just overall got some of the best perks on it for a machine gun. Now the guard roll for this weapon is definitely Reconstruction and Killing Tally. Now, Reconstruction is just going to reload this magazine for you, and then Killing Tally is just going to give you a 30% flat damage boost once you've killed just 3 enemies, and then Chain Killing enemies is going to keep this 30% damage boost up. Now, overflowing the magazine with Reconstruction, and then having a flat 30% damage boost on this gun is just incredible. You compare this with something like Radiant, standing in a well. It's just overall a very solid machine gun. Not to mention it's void, so if you have any sort of volatile rounds, it just makes it even better. Now, unfortunately, this does come from the Deepstone Crypt raid, but it is craftable. so you can definitely farm this on rotation, but I'd seriously recommend getting this one from the raid if you can do it. Moving on to the next weapon, I've chosen the Choir of One of the most solid weapons in the game to just burst down bosses, burst down mini bosses or champions. The Choir of One is seriously an impressive gun, and everyone should put in the effort to finish this dungeon, or the exotic mission encore, sorry, and get this weapon crafted. Now, I will admit, it is definitely a journey to finish all the quests, get all the catalysts, get all the traits. However, as soon as you get the destabilizing rounds trait, just do that. That's all you need. The destabilizing rounds is the best part of this gun, and it makes this gun really what it is. Overall, it's just extremely solid, and everyone should have the Choir of One. Everyone's seen it. It's been out now for quite a while, and it seriously shreds enemies, and you should definitely get it. Now, the next weapon on this list is the Midnight Coup, which is just by far one of the best kinetic or primary hand cannons in the game that you can be using for any sort of activity. It is definitely one of my favorite weapons to be using on just, any basic activity, wherever you need some sort of fill-in kinetic weapon, because the Midnight Coup has some really, really good perks on it. One of my go-to roles, the one that I have, is Explosive Payload and Rampage. Basically 2 double damage dealing perks on the same gun, just make it extremely useful. Now you can get this way going to Zavala in the tower and obviously focusing it, so whenever you do, strikes and whatnot, you get this weapon to drop. Now the next weapon on this list is the Heated Vengeance, which by far has just power crept every single rocket launcher in the game. It is by far the best rocket launcher to be dealing damage to bosses with. It is just completely busted. In the first column, you want Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch, which are the 2 best perks for, rocket launchers. And then on top of that, it has its origin trait, Time Lost Magazine, which basically, whenever your super ends, it's going to overflow that magazine and double it. So, you can use the damage super to reload your rocket launcher, and then also overflowing it, giving you 2 extra rockets. It's just completely broken. It's by far the best rocket launcher in the game. And if you haven't been farming Vogue, you should definitely get in there and try and get one of these weapons. I'm still to do it, as this will be on the top of my list for weapons to get before the Edge of Fate. Now, the next weapon on this list, I have actually chosen 2 weapons, which are just extremely very solid weapons. This one is the Prosecutor and the Multiac. Now, the Prosecutor you can get for free by going to the new Rite of 9. You can get a very solid roll there from the chest. Just go ahead and pick it up. It is extremely useful. However, in the coming weeks, I definitely recommend jumping into Prophecy and trying to farm one out with Dragonfly and Volt Shot. This auto rifle is just extremely nice to use. It hits hard, and with perks like Volt Shot and Dragonfly, you can't go wrong. These 2 perks together just deal incredible damage, and it's a very good filler primary weapon to be using. And the other weapon is the Multiac. Now, this weapon was given to us for free from the Gunsmith as a reward from Bungie, so everyone should have this gold roll. It's Attrition Orbs and Kinetic Tremors. It's just extremely solid. Shooting bullets will proc Kinetic Tremors, dealing extra damage, and then it will also spawn Orbs of Power, or Orbs of Light, and then the Kinetic Tremors proc will collect these orbs for you. It's overall just an extremely solid weapon, and I definitely recommend using this as a filler kinetic weapon. Now, the very last weapon on this list is the Lord of Wolves. Now, I know this one did just receive a nerf. However, it is still extremely useful and definitely one of the best exotic special weapons to be using. People have been shredding the bosses here in the new Rite of 9 on the hardest difficulty, even post-nerf. So the Lord of Wolves is still an extremely solid exotic to have, ready to go in case it continues to be very busted. But anyway, that will pretty much wrap the list up there. There are 10 very solid, extremely useful weapons that you should be aiming to get and farm before the Edge of Fate DLC comes in Destiny 2. All 10 of these weapons are fairly easy, if not extremely easy to get, and you have definitely plenty of time to get them, and you will take full advantage of these in the Edge of Fate DLC. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.